There we are. Hey, everybody. KW Command Facebook group. We are here live with our labs advisors. And as always, I'm Danielle Willis up in Sonoma County, California. I'm here with Joe McHugh and the one and only Garrett Stewart. Garrett, will you please, first of all, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. Really, really appreciate it. We're going to dive deep into postcards today. And also want to make sure before we get started, a little housekeeping. If you are gonna make comments in the comments section, please be sure to grant permission to StreamYard, and it'll actually post your name for us so that we can put that up here.
We'll be able to do that. We'll be able
just
to do
like that. All right, so make sure that you grant permission there. Joe, remind everybody who you are, where you're from, please.
I am Joe McHugh. Apparently, I have hair that's a little ridiculous today, so you can all appreciate that. And I am from Southern Connecticut, Fairfield County, and I am an agent there as well as a technology trainer. So,
perfect. And then Garrett, where are you from, dear?
I am in Reno, Nevada. So I serve all of pretty much northern Nevada areas.
Awesome. Excellent. And then Garrett, what do you do within your market center? Can you tell us kind of who you are? You're not like just some schlub that walked in off the street, right?
Who's this guy? No. So we have two offices in the Reno area. So I kind of help both of them on the tech side of things as well on that, and do a lot of training in our market centers and other agents across the state too. So.
Beautiful. Excellent. All right. So we're going to dive into postcards, right?
Yes. I love these postcards. So I send these out. I think it's a really kind of hidden feature, I think, in Command a little bit that I see a lot of agents don't know about or use. So I use these for all of my listings, just listed, just sold. Sometimes if I feel confident, I might do it just pending, but sometimes I feel like that might be a little premature sometimes in this. So, but I create these postcards. I don't know if you can see on here. I create these, and you can create these in designs and then send them out through campaigns applets. So we're going to be using two applets in Command today, and it's a great way.
Those of you who don't know applets, because some of us don't get that word. It's just the little icons on the side, on the left side there.
Yes. So we're going to be utilizing. Computer's going a little slow. We're going to be utilizing designs and campaigns today. So we're going to create it in designs, and then we're going to send it over into campaigns. Actually, mail it out for you. The thing is, we're all busy real estate agents, so I think if we can leverage things where we're not actually having to send things out ourselves. I know a lot of agents like to do like every door direct and things like that, and that requires, sometimes we have to print things and label it. Honestly, I don't have the time of day to do that, so I love that I can just literally do this in 15 minutes and send it out, and then never have to see it again and don't have to touch any postcards. So. It's a great way to do it for just listing, just sold. I also use these for, I'll be showing you how you can do it for sending it to people that are actually in your database. So I can do little cards for them as well. So we'll go over that. So, all right. So again, like I said, we're going to be jumping into designs first. So just clicking that little icon there, looks like a little sketch pad.
For the record, I love your mouse, your pointer, and your
giant.
It's adorable.
Right? It makes it so much easier for video trainings like this, where people actually follow the cursor, because I kind of zoom around a lot fast sometimes. So at least that way they can follow along. Once you get into designs, we're going to hit this little teal plus button down here on the bottom right corner, and let's see.
And now, Garrett, we're not showing people how to make things today. Like at that point, we've done a class on that. We're going to do that in the future. We're just showing them how to get the content from Command, correct? From design.
Correct. Yeah. So because you can utilize the templates from anywhere and import them in, but I think we have a lot of powerful tools in design. So I want to show you, if you do utilize designs, how you're going to be able to get them out of designs and into campaigns to send them out. And my computer, I hear like the fan like just buzzing away.
Yeah, we're misbehaving right now. So
as usual. because I think it's more my computers being the fun part right now.
Oh, good.
There
We
go.
can hear you just fine. Your video's a little skippy inny-outy.
Yeah, there's just me. I just like to skip along. All right, so we hit that teal plus button, and then we load up here with the design. So obviously we're going to just do a print design. If we are utilizing a listing photo or something like that, we can always click that. If we're doing like a listing sold, I just do that. We're not going to really go into creating the design, so I just going to go to the next. We won't worry about a specific listing.
Right. And we actually did, was it last
that'll
week?
boot us right into here.
Weeks ago, we did actually how to create the design. So reference back to that previous thing if you guys want to know how to use the design editor.
Yeah, and just as a reminder for everybody here in the group, you can actually use the search bar on the side within the group in Facebook, and you can just type up, you can look for Labs Advisors Live, and it'll bring up every Labs Advisors Live that we've done within the group, and you'll be able to see those.
Alrighty, so let's just do just sold. I think that's the one I use most often. I'm going to go ahead and just do under listings and do just sold, and you can just pick a postcard. I normally just do a standard size postcard. This is the one that you see on my screen right here. Hopefully it's going. There we go. But anyway, so I normally just do a standard size postcard, and they end up costing, I think, 59 cents each to send. So it's pretty cheap, I think. So we'll just pick one of these and just load that in so we can download it.
So I think it's important to, is it loading? There we go. Go ahead.
There we go. Okay, yeah. So yeah, just boot it into here. So obviously you're going to make your edits on here. Once you boot in, you're going to see down here your front and back of the postcard. Obviously you're going to have both. And one thing I just want to point out when you're editing, you can click back and forth down here to edit the front and back of it, utilizing these arrows, or you can just click on that. I'll minimize that page for now. But once you're done editing, always make sure you leave this page down here blank. It's purposely blank because that's where the address is going.
Right.
So don't make sure when you are creating these, don't go ahead and throw all that stuff in there. Leave it blank. Once you go through and personalize this all to your stuff, one thing I do want to point out too, some of these templates do have like a name on it. Normally I'll just change it to like hi neighbor or something like that. It does not feed, no like live changes on that. So just know and be aware of that.
Okay.
But once you're done, we'll just title this whatever we want. So we'll just say just sold postcard.
And that's really important for finding it later, right? Because those generic names, I never know what they are. So
yes,
figure out your naming mechanism, I always say, and use the same thing all the time. So just listed, just sold, address, whatever. You know, some people put the lead gen strategy in there. Just be specific, and it will make your life so much easier as you go along.
Absolutely. I know I'm just an unorganized mess sometimes when it comes to files, so it helps me. So now it comes time that we're going to download this to our computer so that we can upload it into campaigns. So here's the thing to take note in here is when you download it, you're going to do 4 specific tasks in here to make sure you download this correctly, or you're going to throw an error message. So we're going to make sure we're going to download it as a PDF. And then once we download as a PDF, we're actually going to download these separately because we're going to be downloading the front, and then we're going to be uploading the front page, and then we're going to upload the back page. So it needs to be 2 separate files. And because of that, we're going to have to download them as 2 separate files. So we'll do the current page, which will obviously download the back side. We're going to need to do high resolution print quality, obviously. And then one that you're going to need to make sure you hit too is under publish settings here. You're going to use this use manual bleed. You're going to want to do that because if you ever, it doesn't really show well on this postcard, but if you've ever done like postcards and printing, you want to make sure like it goes edge to edge so you don't have that like awkward white border if you're doing, have you ever ordered stuff like you just print stuff at the office and you always have the awkward white border around it? This is going to help prevent that from happening.
Right.
The manual bleed is my favorite tip to remind everyone, because honestly, you'll find that if you forget to do that, it'll actually throw an error. It's not just, it doesn't just leave a white border. Sometimes there are times it'll say it's the wrong size and it panics and all of the things. So manual bleed is my favorite. And actually, Garrett, I learned that from you.
Oh, yay. Again, just the 4 things we need to do. We're going to download it as a PDF, current page, high resolution print quality, and use manual bleed. Now we're going to go ahead and hit.
Somebody type that in the comments.
Yeah, there we go.
We'll do that for you. Keep going.
Thank you. So we hit start download, and it's going to download that file. It takes just a few seconds. You can see up here it says preparing, and we're going to see it pop in the bottom of that screen in just a second. There it goes. And now we're going to download the front side of the postcard, which you can either choose by the page, or normally I just skip to that front page by utilizing those arrows at the bottom. And then once I do that, I can just hit download. And nice thing is all those settings stay the same. So I don't have to re-click everything. And then I just hit start download, and that's going to download the front page of the postcard. So once we see that drop in, we'll be able to move over to campaigns.
Well, now here's the cool thing about this, which I think is really neat, is we're going to show you how to use command, because you can use command to send these out. But if you like another service like Vistaprints or something, you can bring these files to them and have them produce them for you. So 100%, we're going to show you how to use command to do this. And if you still have another service, maybe you have a discount or a good relationship, you can bring them those files, and they will absolutely be able to use them to create postcards for you.
Yeah,
I used to use this amazing free service known as Teenagers in My Household, and they don't have a choice, so they have to help me. And you know what I found? Command's easier.
It is.
Sending that through command is a lot easier. So this is great. Garrett, you got to show us how to do this, because honestly, like, this is such a lifesaver. It's all about leverage, and this leverage is phenomenal. So let's dig in.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we clicked on campaigns. It's that megaphone button on the left-hand side of your command screen here. And once you go in here, this is your just campaigns dashboard. And we're going to click create a new campaign. And you guessed it, we're going to hit direct mail. We're mailing these, so we'll just go from there. Now, this is the part, if you created a Facebook ad, it's going to be very similar look in terms of at first. We're going to enter a campaign name, and that campaign name is just going to be something that we're going to use as a reference. So if we're going back through our campaigns, we know what that campaign was about. So maybe it's, just sold 123 Main Street.
Yep.
Okay, so we got that going there, and now we're going to go ahead and pick whatever you want. We were advertising this listing or something like that. So a lot of things that people do, I notice on this section here, is you see default templates provided or upload a custom template. Here's the thing: you can do a default template provided and move on. I'm not going to demo that because I honestly prefer the method that we're doing more, and I think it's just as easy. The default template has, I think, 4 different styles for you to choose from, but it's not very customizable. And I prefer to have my branding, my look, my style. I think most of us would prefer that as well. And so creating that design in designs, how we want it, and then downloading it from there and uploading our custom template.
Working in the field on this, a lot of agents don't like how the preview of those work, because once you get to the preview point, you actually have to go back and start all over again to change it, versus anything you do in designs, you design it, and what you preview in designs is what you get on the postcard, and it just looks better. So that's also, designs is usually the best course of action for that.
Yes. And that's fine. I think it's basically just as quick. Some people think that's faster route, and honestly, I think this is just as fast. So we select upload a custom campaign, and we'll hit setup campaign, and that's going to take us to the campaign builder. So this is the part where we're going to upload those 2 files that we downloaded. And remember how we had those 4 steps that I told you we needed to do? Well, this is, if you did it wrong, you're going to know right here. So we'll just go ahead and upload a file. right here, you can just click on this screen. And sure enough, I've got just sold postcard right here, and we're uploading the front. So there we go. Open. And it's going to load in right there. And there it is. So if you upload it wrong, you're going to throw an error message right at that point. So that means go back to designs and make sure you did those 4 things.
And remind us here what those 4 things were so I can actually type them out for people. What's number 1?
Okay. Download as a PDF, current page, high resolution print quality, and use manual bleed. And now we're going to upload the backs of the postcard.
And again, when they say current page, you want to do front and back. You need both, but you have to do them separately.
Yep, correct. And because as you saw here, we uploaded the front and we uploaded the back.
I have made that mistake thinking that I could be efficient. It doesn't work. You definitely have to do them separately.
Yeah, and it doesn't take that much extra time. You literally have to hit 2 extra button taps and that's it. So as you can see, it did know that I used the standard size postcard, which is a 4x6. That's why you see a check mark there. So that's going to verify what the size of your postcard is. You can see down here as well, you can do bigger sizes. So if you do want to, you can create those bigger sizes in Designs or any other program you want that you're uploading in here. There's just, I will say there's more standard size postcard templates, but you can create larger ones as well.
Yeah, I love those, like the 6x11. That panoramic is great, depending on what you're working on. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so we're going to go through here and we're going to enter in our market center information. So luckily all of that is saved for me. So I don't have to type all that all out. I just
and now this is for the return address, essentially, right? Is what you're doing?
That is correct. So yeah, everything will be returned addressed to your office. And so yeah, just keep that in mind. You can put your office logo in here. It's not required, just for demo purposes. So I don't have to go digging through finding my file. I won't do that. But
Garrett, I gotta pause you for just a second. We have to make sure and specify, because we're looking at the entire nation. Please be sure and check with your market center with regards to the requirements in your area. So Garrett may not have to use his office DBA logo. However, you might. So please always check with your broker with regards to what you need to do with regards to advertising.
And the other thing, I think one of the reasons why they made it optional is if you're pulling it from Designs, it may already have your DBA logo in it. So they don't make you do it again. But if it's not, you might have to upload it at that point. So again, different reasons. It's not optional because it's optional. It's optional for those other reasons.
Yes. So when in doubt, ask your broker.
Very good point. Thank you. So once you hit that verify address button, it's just going to go through and it's going to be like, oh, it realizes, you want to make sure you have that. I don't even know what those 4 trailing digits on a zip code are called, but make sure it knows where it is there and stuff and verifies that address so it knows it's a real address, so essentially.
I actually believe those are the postal routes, the actual specific route the mailman takes. So if you really wanted to know, I believe that's what it is.
Oh, there we go.
You are correct.
Not that totally useless information that people don't need. That's my job here.
That's what you do, yes. All right, so now we get to the targeting piece. So there's 2 cool options on here. One is local targeting, which I'll get to in just a second. I want to show you first is Target My Database. And the cool thing with Target My Database is you have the option to put people, send this to contacts that are in your database. So if you wanted to search for people in here, or what I like to do, and this is why I always recommend people to use tags, we can just scroll through here, and I'm going to scroll, and of course I picked one with the, load more, a T, because I always just have my test one. There we go, test. And we'll just load up these test contacts. So as you can see, I've got, I can't show Gary Keller's secret address. No, that is not Gary Keller's address, actually, just FYI. Just a demo. Okay, so I can start clicking on them now. I purposely have this set up so you can see there's a Michael Campbell at the very bottom. He does not have a mailing address selected in his contact. So you can see that I cannot select him, and you see a little caution mark next to it. Mailing address is missing. So one thing to point out is when you're adding these contacts to your database, one thing to really make sure you do is if you know their mailing address, there's a little check mark that you can select next to that when entering them in. If you don't have that button selected, you can't you send postcards directly to them. And also, if you use the mailing label option in contacts, you wouldn't be able to export them as well. So it's really important to go through and select that.
Now, is there a limit to how many we select all at this point, or is there something that you can do there?
Is there a limit? I mean, you can. I've done it to all of my past clients before. I think that's the biggest I've sent to personally.
Okay.
So yeah, I've also seen people do this in terms of doing this as a farm. They've uploaded their farm into Command, and since they're doing it on a, they're mailing to them on a monthly basis or sometimes bi-weekly basis, they will upload them into Command at that point just so they can take notes and stuff on them. So I've seen people do it as well there. So
this would be great for your Pi Day kind of mailings.
Yeah, so that's actually one thing I want to implement. I do the Pi Day as well, and I wanted to, and I just failed, to be honest, failing forward. So next year, I'm going to actually create invitations for the event, and I can just send this to my database because I think people, an email is one thing, and honestly, I struggled with people looking at their emails this year. I think everyone just emailed out, and so I think stepping it up a little bit with something physical, people appreciate that a little bit more now than ever. So I'm going to create invitations to send out through here as well. And here's another thing I wanted to point out as well. As you can see, I only have 4 contacts selected. If you use other services, a lot of them will have minimums of like 20 to 30 contacts sometimes, or even sometimes 50 or more. That minimum that you have to send postcards to. You know how many you have to send minimum in here? 1. You only have to send 1 postcard, which means what I've done before in this is, and built it into my smart plan setup, is reminding me for their home anniversary to send them a happy home anniversary postcard. So doing little things. Yeah. So just another idea out there to be able to send this out to people in our database. You can literally send someone 1 postcard, which is really cool. Actually, and this is actually a good point to I want everyone to try out on themselves first. So a lot of people get nervous of creating this. You can test this out and send yourself a postcard. See how long it takes for it to get there, so you kind of get that idea in your head of what to expect, know what it looks like, know what the size is, and you get a better impression. So when you order more, you know exactly what you're sending out there. So awesome. That's a nice thing too. Test it out on yourself. I recommend testing everything on yourself in Command, just so you know what the consumer's seeing as well.
Awesome.
All right. So you would just say add to campaign, and then you can see the contacts that you selected would just show up right here. Right. We would save and move on. I'm going to actually switch now to local targeting instead. And we're going to do this instead because we're going to, in this situation here, we're going to be sending a just sold circle prospecting around an address. So let's just say I'll actually enter an address that I just sold, 10652 Fire Poppy Circle. Okay. Reno, Nevada, and 89521. Okay, perfect. So we've got that set up. We're going to go ahead and hit save. And what this is doing is it's going to be targeting around that address. We're going to get a little bit more specific in a second, but this at least gets it going on that end. Now we can actually scroll down here, and because I had entered 4 contacts, it defaulted the 4. Oh, oops, I guess I didn't. Make sure I got everything correctly before And it's not liking something I put in there. Let's see. I might just re-enter this. No biggie.
And what this typically means is it's checking it against an actual address, and it doesn't think the information you put in there is real, and it's getting upset. So that's what's going on here.
Yes. I think I messed up when I started selecting these contacts. Let me delete these. I haven't actually done it this method. I was trying to select contacts and then going back here. So let's see if that fixes it.
And normally
that
you
was
wouldn't
it.
be doing that.
It won't allow you to
because you can't.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that was the issue I had there. So yeah, just don't demo like that, apparently.
So it's important to note that these things happen with all programs, and if you do things wrong, no matter how much of an expert you are, sometimes you run into that little caution sign in the corner, and it's okay, and you just back yourself up and try again, right?
Exactly. Yep. You just just
now
test it out.
This we're saying quantity. This is specific to the targeting you chose, right? So if you had done it the other way, you wouldn't necessarily have to say the quantity here. But because we're targeting an area, we get to limit or tell it exactly how many people we want it to reach.
Exactly. So let's just say we wanted to do 100 postcards. And on this size postcard, it's just default first class.
Right.
But you can see the pricing over here for the bigger sizes. You have the choice of standard or first class. And first class, I believe the only incentive is just it mails a little bit quicker. Is that correct?
It does mail more quickly if you go first class. If it goes bulk, so standard, it can take up to 3 weeks. So I highly recommend, if you're doing just listeds, just solds, things like that, absolutely should be going first class. It's worth the extra 10 cents.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and hit save there.
Just so you know, we're at like a 1 minute mark to a half hour. We will let you have extra time, but why don't we get to the next step so we can finish up for everybody, and then we'll give you extra time at the end.
Okay, yeah, we're almost done actually. So we're going to move to that stop. That is, we're going to configure targeting, and we'll go ahead and hit yes. And this is the part where we're going to be able to make sure we're seeing what houses we're sending these postcards to. So we actually get to pick and choose and filter these out.
This is my favorite part of this whole thing, by the way.
Right?
Yeah.
Super cool. So we had entered in that address up here. It shows up, or it showed up here now as well. And we got it pinpointed right on there. It shows the 100 closest addresses on here. Now here's the thing. So we can actually filter these out by single family homes, multifamily homes, their bedrooms, bathrooms, or not bathroom, bedroom square footage, year built, year last sold, and last sold for what price. So we're able to filter those out in any way. Here's the thing. In most cases, I'm not actually adjusting any of these, but if you were to send these out and you wanted to target, I would say the one I would use the most would be the year last sold, where I could just maybe I'm doing a little bit of farming or something like that, and I don't necessarily want to spend as much money on people that bought their house in the last year, because more than likely they're probably not going to sell anytime soon. So just my suggestion there, you're going to be, I would do something a little.
That's where being a local expert is useful, right? Because if you know people turn over every 4 years versus 7 versus whatever, know your local numbers, and you can use that to make sure you're not hitting the wrong people. Great little toggle we got there.
Now, Garrett, in this spot, you can actually deselect specific homes, correct?
So yeah, let's just say I'm I know Sally Smith is a realtor that lives right across the street here, and I'm I don't want to waste my money sending her a postcard. She lives at this one. I can hover over this and actually click remove, and as you can see, that turned gray. So that way, I'm I don't have to send postcards to certain people, and also it does default to sending the postcard to that address. So maybe I don't see why you wouldn't want to send it just sold to the new owners, but you could. If you didn't want those owners to get that as well, you could do that. Also, one cool little trick as well, as you start to filter these out and expand it, it's basically finding the 100 closest homes to that address. So the more you do, the farther it's going to go out. Same with filtering it. It's going to just find those that qualify, and it's going to go further and further out. But you can also target by a polygon tool. So maybe there's certain neighborhoods you want to focus on. You could actually just do this and say, I want homes. Whoops, I think it's click. It's a click here. Maybe I just want homes in this specific area. I guess you gotta hit that.
A good scenario for this that actually happens a lot is if you have a couple of condo complexes next to each other, you only want to target the specific condo complex that you sold in, you can surround that.
Well, or
Exactly.
let's say you have a buyer who only wants a specific condo complex. You could actually make a postcard that says, I have a buyer looking in this neighborhood, like who wants to sell? You make that in designs and you send it using this tool, right? And that's a great strategy as well.
Yeah, and I've actually used this in that case of targeting neighborhoods and stuff for buyers, because we all know right now in most markets, at least in Reno, it's very much a seller's market. We're at 0.6 months of inventory here. So we are desperate for homes. So doing that type of stuff could definitely benefit. So that's a great
Now, Garrett,
idea.
I saw when you did this, it went down to 38 targets. I said 100 before. Is this going to affect that? Or is it going to recalculate and let me know that what's going on?
So it's only going to send to these 38 now, because that's what we selected. We basically decided we're not going to do those 100 homes. We want to focus on this specific area.
And what if in drawing the neighborhood, just so people don't get stuck here, what if in drawing the neighborhood we realize, oh, I picked 100 on the last screen, but there are really 150 homes I want to send to? Is it going to be able to make that adjustment as well?
Yeah, so this will toggle. So this can actually go to, I don't know if with the polygon tool, how much it'll allow.
It's going to error out.
I can reset filters, but if I wanted to send to, let's see, let's just delete that. I could go up to 5,000 homes. So if I wanted to, or here is 200. So I could just go out as much as I wanted as well, or just did a polygon tool to try to get closer to that 150 if I wanted to have a certain budget.
So from a standpoint, if you had budgeted on that last screen for 100, but now you found 200 homes because you played around, know that you're now going to be spending more than that original budget said, and you might have to go in and toggle, or you could be spending less depending on how you narrow it down. So just everybody be aware of that.
Yep. Now we've got we've got everything picked out. Here's one thing I always suggest you do: is send a copy of company address. And what this does is, and that's exactly how I got this postcard for my demo, is I always send postcards directly to myself. And so make sure you hit the send a copy to company address, and then you're going to get this as well.
Cool.
Okay, so once you do that, we'll go ahead and hit next. Oh, by the way, if you send a company address, it just sends to the company. It doesn't send to your name. So just heads up, if your information's not, make sure your information's on the postcard so that the person handling the mail at your office knows how to, that it goes to you more than likely. And then just hit next. And then at the spot, it's going to create a final preview for you to overview. It's going to show exactly what the addresses are going to look like. Make sure they're lined up perfectly on that blank space. Maybe you edited that template a little bit of where text was. You want to make sure that shows up correctly. This is your opportunity to make sure everything looks good. One final check. And there we go. And as you can see, it all fit in there well. One thing I do want to point out is when doing these that targeting with like radius and things like that, it is sending to current resident. It is not sending to the owner, which we can use to our advantage because we know it's actually going to the person living there. So we can target people. Maybe they're actually renting an area and they're looking to purchase in that same neighborhood. So think of creative ways that you can utilize this that you know is going to that person living at the property. If it was a case where you wanted to target the owner, that would have to be something that was in your contacts to send them to directly if it was non-owner occupied.
This is seriously, this is awesome. And I love that it has this preview at the end so you can see, and it spells it out like what happens next. So you know exactly what's going on. And then, Garrett, is it safe to assume from right here, all we do is click make a payment and then it's done?
So yeah, once you hit make a payment, because we're here, I am on the West Coast Pacific time. Submit before 3 p.m. on a business day, your mails will go to production the same day. So we are good to go. We're going to go to production today. So normally it'll go out. You'll actually get at least I noticed just recently on my last postcard mailing, they sent me an email letting me know when it actually got mailed out, put in the mail drop, basically. So you kind of have an idea of when that's going out.
Just so people are aware, this is the point of handoff to the vendor. So make sure that it is how you want it at this point, because you cannot, once you send it out, the vendor sends it right to the printer. There's really no way to stop it at this point. So this is the point of no return.
Yeah, basically I've heard in the past they have about a 10-minute window in most cases to cancel. So if you just did one little thing wrong or something, notice after you hit that next button, very slim chance, unless you catch it right away, that it's going to be fixed. But they are really good at answering emails pretty quickly. So if there is an issue, definitely reach out to real mailers. That's who it's through. So you'll get an email.
Don't rely on that. Like, definitely don't rely on that 10-minute window. Once it goes to the printers, once they send that off, there's no pulling that back.
Exactly. Now, I got to tell you, the time that I usually notice the boo-boos is when I get the postcard at the office and go, I spelled something wrong right there.
Yeah.
Right, which makes us all human. One thing I do want to point out lastly is I've seen some people post they're like, oh, there's a scuff on my postcard or something like that. And that has nothing to do with Command. It has nothing to do with real mailers. It's 100% the U.S. Postal Service and how their machines run. I get mail all the time that has little scuffs and things on it. So if you're like, it doesn't look great or something like that, trust me, I've sent myself postcards multiple times and got great quality ones. And then I've gotten ones with nice little scuffs across my face. Yeah. So we're leaving it up to the Postal Service at that point. So just take that in mind. Their machines aren't and I think always handle it the best.
So I've said my biggest takeaway from this is those 4 things, because so many of the agents I work with, they make these beautiful postcards and then they can't get it into this point. And so those 4 things you said to make sure it's in the right format and the right quality and the right everything is the key piece for making sure that you can now use this next part of the system. And so thank you for that. That's my big takeaway for today.
Absolutely.
Yes, awesome.
Now, Garrett, you actually this is not the only thing you train on. You train on a lot of different things, and you actually have a YouTube channel, right?
I do. So I got that pulled open up here. So you can find me on YouTube. It's just youtube.com/Garrett Stewart. And so right there, you don't have to type in the video portion.
We're actually going to drop that into the comments so that you have that available. I love all of your thumbnails. They're very cute.
Thank you. I know. There's so much, and this is actually right where I take my picture. So so much fun to do all the posts.
Drop it in the comments right now, Garrett. I'll pop it up on the screen for everybody.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Alrighty.
So if you've enjoyed Garrett's training here today, you can find more on YouTube. Obviously, we all have different learning styles, and I find that digging into different trainers' videos, you find one that really connects with how you learn and how you understand things. So definitely check that out. We're going to get that into the comments for you. And Garrett, I cannot thank you enough for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with us today for Labs Advisors Live. I know November and December are very busy times for all of us as agents. Everyone seems to think that business slows down. I'm not seeing that here. So I'm really glad that you were able to be here. Remind everybody where you practice real estate. So if they have any referrals, where to send them.
Yes. So I'm again in Reno, Nevada, Sparks, Nevada. I'm 45 minutes from Lake Tahoe. I do the Nevada side of Lake Tahoe. So yeah, I'm always happy to help. If you have any questions too, you can always just email me. I've got my email my name right below, and my email is just garrettstewart@kw.com. Pretty easy. So if you guys have any questions on this or anything, feel free to just reach out. I'm more than happy to answer your questions on this. feel free to use that YouTube channel as a resource. I do have little tips in there as well, like adding a QR code to a postcard or things like that too. Little tips as well. So feel free to utilize that YouTube page.
That blows my mind that QR codes were coming back, because it was on its way out when I started real estate, and now all of a sudden they're making this resurgence, and I'm like, where is this coming from? But yeah,
I'm happy about it. People actually know how to use it now, so I'm like, I think it's a great concept.
Definitely. I love it. So this has been Labs Advisors Live. We're over by about 12 minutes, but thank you so much for sticking there with us. We're going to keep the recording here in the group so that you can always come back to it. If you're looking for more Labs Advisors Live, you can also use that search function within the KW Command Facebook group. Just type in Labs Advisors Live and you will find all of our recordings. Joe, remind us who you are, where you're from.
Joe McHugh. I am from Connecticut.
Perfect. And I'm Danielle Willis in Sonoma County, California. Thank you all so much for being here. Garrett, thanks for taking the time. And we'll see you guys on our next Labs Advisors Live.
Bye.